Let us solve the exercise number 7 in the part B of the DBMS Lab. In this exercise, we are supposed to create a trigger to update the master table when the records are inserted into the sales table. Then we are supposed to create another trigger to update the master table when the records are either inserted, updated, or deleted in the new stock table. Also, they have said that we can assume suitable columns for all the tables that we are going to use over here. So I'm going to go to the VS Code over here, and I'm going to go to the Oracle extension, and I will make a connection with the my connection by clicking on this. Once the connection is established, I'm going to go to the new worksheet, that is the SQL worksheet. And after this, I don't need the left hand side panel, so I'm going to just remove this. Let us create the master table. So what is this master table? So just assume that you have a shop wherein you are selling an item. So you need to take care of how many items are there in the stock. So what you are going to do is, if you have a shop here, you will have different items that you want to sell. So you will take a note of how many different items are there. Generally, to distinguish an item, you will give a item ID. So that is the, let me say, you have the product ID, and you will call the product will have some name here, and you have the quantity, which I'm going to call it as a stock. How many items are there in the stock? For example, if you are selling a normal ordinary shop, you may have a pen. ID is 101, and let's say you are selling a pen here. Okay, sir. And how many items are there? You may have 100 pens with you, and again you may have the second item 102, and you may have a pencil, and you may have 50 pencils here. So this is what you have in the stock, and that is what is the meaning of saying master file. So this master table will contain all the stocks which are there in your table, and what are the fields that are required. You may have the unit price, so on and so forth. All of them does not make any sense with the explanation or with the question that is given over here, so I won't consider them. So in general, a master file will contain some ID for the product, some name for the product, and stock. Let us create that thing over here. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say create a table, and I'm going to call it as a master because they have given the same name there. So they have said that there is a master, there is a sales, and there is a new stock. So I'm going to follow what they have said there, and let me press here, and I'm going to take the product ID. I'm going to call it as a number, and let me assume that this is the primary key, just to make that this is a table. So I'm going to say this is primary key, and then we have the product name. Let it be varchar2, and let me make this one as let's say 50, product ID as 50, and then we have the items in the stock. Let it be number because you know very well you can't sell half the pencil, so you will have to sell the whole number. So I'm not taking the fractions here. Let me create this table. So I'm going to select it and press Control Enter, and my table is created. After that, I'm going to describe this particular table. So I'm going to describe this table. I'm going to say describe master. Okay, so that. Let me insert some values into this table. So I'm going to say insert into master, and the values that I'm going to insert are, so let's say, the item number 101. Let me say I'm inserting CDs, so I'm selling a computer item. So I have the CDs, and then I have some quantity. Let's say I have 100 CDs in my shop. Let me select it, and let me press enter, and one record has been inserted. In the same way, let me assume that I'm going to fill the remaining field. So I'm going to just copy from my notepad. Assume that I have typed it. So what I have is the different items with the different primary key, that is product ID, and the product like DVD, mouse, keyboard, and so on. and some quantity, the initial quantity, that is items which are there in the stock. So I'm going to just select them and I'm going to press Control Enter. So all the records are inserted. Let me select the item. So I'm going to say select the star from my master just to show that those items are there in the table. So I will select it and then press Control Enter. So you notice that there is a from gone. Okay, so from my master. So I'm going to just select it and press Control Enter, and you have the item there. So you have selected the items which are there in the table. Now the next thing that I am supposed to do is I am supposed to create this sales table. What is this sales table? See, these items are there. Whenever a customer comes to my shop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell that item. So whenever I sell that item, I'm going to make note of which item has been sold and what are the quantities that are being sold. So I'm going to say which item by taking the product ID. This is the product ID. And I'm going to say that I have sold so many quantities of this item. For example, I will say 101, which is CD. Okay, suppose if the customer purchases the CD and if the customer purchases the 15 series, then I'm going to say that, okay, I'm going to put an entry into my sales table saying that the customer has purchased 50 series. So this is 101 is the ID of the CD, and the quantity that which is there with me is 100, and I have sold 50 series. So what is left with me in my stock is 100 minus 50. So what I have now is, after I sell the item, what I have in my shop is 50 series because I have sold 50 series. In the same way, if I sell some DVDs, so for example, if I sell some DVDs, I'm going to say the 102 is the ID for my DVD. And if I say I'm selling 25 DVDs, so once after I sell my DVD, this quantity which is there in my master file has to be reduced. So this is currently you have 150 DVDs were there, out of which I have sold 25 CDs. So what I will be left in my stock is 125. So whenever I make some sales, after I sell some item, that means after the item is sold, I have to go to the master table and update the quantity because of those many quantities are sold from my shop. So my stock will keep on decreasing. So I have to do that thing using the trigger. So when I update my sales table, so when I insert a new record in my sales table, automatically the master table must get updated, and that is what is the trigger. So when an event occurs, the trigger is automatically fired. So what is this event? Event is when I insert a record in my sales table, I am supposed to update the master table. So that is the event. So how can I do that thing? For this, I am supposed to create the sales table. So let me create the sales table. So I'm going to say create a table, and I'm going to call this table as a sales. Let me call it as sales. So because they have given the same name here, sales. They have given the name as sales. So I'm using the same name, sales. And I'm going to use only two fields here. Remember, when you sell an item, you will take a note of customer name, customer address, phone number, quantity sold. That is, I will take care, and unit price and so on and so forth. But I will not take all of them. What I need is the product ID, which product is sold. So I'm going to take product ID, which is a number and a 5. And some of you may definitely say that this is a foreign key, and which will reference the primary key which is here in the master table. I will not go to such a complication because it will make the matter still complicated. I want the product ID and I want the quantity. How many items are being sold? So I will take only these two things. Only they are required for me. Others are not really required because others does not come into picture, because whenever I sell an item, whenever I sell an item, what is required to me is the product ID and the quantity, and I have to check which is the product ID, and I have to update the corresponding quantity of that particular product in the master table. So in the master table, I must know which is the product ID and how many quantities are sold. That is only two things, and the trigger will do only that, those two things. Others things are not done by the trigger, so I will not waste time in inserting them here. Now let us write the trigger to do that particular thing. How can we do the write the trigger? How do we create a table? In the same way we create the trigger. So I'm going to say create or replace. So create or what, where is it gone? Create or replace the trigger, okay, and give a name to the trigger, that is the items which are sold. Okay, when will you activate the trigger? Once I inserted the record. So after I insert a record into my sales table, I am supposed to update the master record. So after I insert a record into my sales table, so after insert on my sales table, I am supposed to update it. Now, whenever I am putting a record into my sales table, I may put more than one record. So it is not that the customer will purchase only one item. The customer may purchase many items. So for each record that is getting inserted into the sales table, so all the records, I have to update the corresponding records of master file. So for each record or for each row that is getting inserted into the sales table, into this sales table, the corresponding record of the master table has to be updated. So how do I write that thing? So I'm going to say each for each row in the master table, I am supposed to do something. So what are the things that I'm supposed to do is I will write it between the begin and the end. In this case, I am supposed to write only one thing, that is I have to update the master table. So for every entry that I am doing in the sales table, I have to make an update in the master table. Suppose if I am selling the CD and if I sold 50 CDs, then I have to make an update in the master table, and I have to change this value from 100 to 50. So this is what I am supposed to do it. So I am supposed to update the master file. How do I do that thing? I'm going to say update the master file and set the new value of the stock is equal to old value of the stock plus whatever the new items that you have sold. So whenever you are selling a new item into the to the customer, whenever you are selling a new item into the to the customer, you will insert a record here saying that the CD is sold, 50 CDs are being sold. So whichever new row that you have inserted, that product ID, this product ID whichever you are selling, and its quantity has to be taken care. So I have to reduce that quantity, the quantity that I've sold, from my master file. So the new value of the stock is the old value of the stock plus whichever is the new item that you have sold and what is its quantity. So that is what you are supposed to do it. And you know very well, whenever you are using the update, you must not forget to use the where clause, where the product ID is equal to which is the new product that you have sold. That product ID is getting updated. So what is the meaning of that is whenever you are selling an item to the customer, you must make note of which is the product ID that you are selling. That is the product ID, let's say 101. And if you have sold 25 CDs, so this is the quantity. You have to subtract that quantity, that is 25 new quantity that you are selling, from your stock. So your stock, the original items were 50, I'm sorry, 100, out of which you have subtracted, you have to subtract 25 because you have sold 25. Which is that product? This is the product. So whichever new product you have sold, you have to compare this product ID with the new product ID that you are selling. So that is what is the trigger all about. I'm going to just select this trigger, and I'm going to press Control and Enter. And uh, I think I have not created this table. Let me just create this table. I'm going to select this table. I think I just wrote that table, but I have not created that table. That's why I can say the table does not exist. Let me press Control Enter, and this let me create this table because I have not created that table. It just says that without creating the table, how can you use that table here? So I said insert after that. Okay. Now, because I created a table for your examination, you have to describe that particular table. So that is a required thing. So you just describe the table, press Control Enter, and this is your table. And let me select this trigger, whichever I have just written, and press Control Enter. Now this time the trigger will be created because last time I got an error because I I have just written here, but I didn't executed that statement, so the table was not created. Now the table is created, and I'm able to update the trigger. Now let me assume that let us first look at what is there in my sales table. I'm going to select a star from my sales table. Let me remove this mouse pointer from here. And I'm also going to select a star from my master table. So select a star from my master table. So let me do that thing. So I'm going to select this line and I'm going to press Control Enter. You notice that in my sales, there are no records are there in my sales table because I have not sold anything. So it is completely blank here. But if I look at my master table, let me press Control Enter, and you notice that I have CDs, which are 100 items of CDs are there. So let me assume that the customer comes to my shop, and I am going to sell 50, let's say 50 or 25 DVDs or CDs to this customer. So I'm going to say the item number is 101 and 25 CDs are being sold. So 25 items are sold. How do I do that thing? I'm going to insert a new record. So whenever a customer comes, you will insert a new record into the sales table. So I'm going to say insert into sales. The item that I'm selling is 101, that is the CD, and I'm going to sell 25 CDs. So this is what I'm doing. So the customer has come to my shop, and let me put the values here. Okay. And the customer has come to my shop, and the customer has demanded for 25 CDs. So I will make a note of the product ID, which is 101. So you notice that product ID is 101, and I am selling 25 CDs. So after I have sold 25 CDs, what must happen is this trigger must get activated, and what this trigger will do is it will update the master table by subtracting the quantity that was sold. So let me insert this record by selecting it and pressing Control Enter. And one record has been inserted. Let me go to the sales table. I have sold one item. Control Enter to see that. So I have sold, if you notice that I have sold the 25 CDs. Now, if I go to the master now, if I will go to the master table and I press Control Enter, select star from the master, what you notice is there were 100 items were there, and I have sold 25 items here. And because I sold 25 items, the sales resulted in the updation of the stock, and the stock is now reduced to 75 because originally 100 items were there, 100 series were there. I sold 25, so what I left is 75. So what I have is now 75. This is one trigger. Now you know very well, if I sell 74 more, if I sell 50 items, this will again get reduced to something, and so on and so forth. So then what will happen is one fine day I will go out of series. So in that case, what I must do is I must purchase new stocks. Is it not? So as I start selling the items, the quantity will keep on reducing because the customers are buying new items, and this stocks keep on reducing. So then what I must do is I must purchase the new stock. When I purchase the new stock, what I'm going to make note. I will make note of which item is purchased. For example, if I'm purchasing the CD, I will say that the product ID is 101. This is the new stock that I'm getting. So I am getting a new stock of CDs. Say CD is 101, And if I say that I'm going to get 50 new series from some vendor, so what I must do in that case? I must update the series here. So this is 75, which is there in my stock, and I'm going to get a new stock of 50 series. So 75 plus 50 will make it as a 125. So when I insert a record in my new stock, so this is the new stock table. What is happening? New stock table. So this is my new stock table. And whenever I make an entry, so after I purchase a new stock, that is after I insert a record into my new stock table, I have to go and update the master file. Now, once I purchase the item, it may so happen that suppose I might have brought 50 CDs, out of which 20 CDs might have been damaged. So during the transportation, something can happen. So I can go back to the vendor and say that I am returning 20 CDs, even though I purchased 50 CDs. I will return 20 CDs back to you because they are damaged. In that case, what will happen is even though I purchased 50 CDs and I have updated here as stock as 125, because I am sending back 20 series, my stock has to be reduced by 20 because I have given back. So what must happen here is the new stock must be 105 because I gave 50 series back, or I returned the 50 series back because they got damaged. And once I give it back to the vendor, the vendor may try to please me and say that okay, 20 series got damaged, no problem, I will give you 30 more series, 10 series as a bonus series, take 10 extra series from my side. So even though you have returned the 20 series, 10 series are bonus to you, take it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have to update this my stock again, and I had 105. Now I'm getting 30 CDs from the vendor, so I will have to update it, and this is going to be 135 now. So the current stock is going to be 135. So again, this is update. Now, after selling the series, what I noticed that series are all damaged. The customers are coming and blasting at me saying that the series are not working. So I may go to the vendor and say that no, 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 I don't want your series. It is none of them are working properly. I'm getting a lot of confusion. The complaints from the customer, and they are returning back the series. Take back only your 50 series. That means I'm going to delete this entry saying that I don't want your stock. In that case, I have to go back to my original values, which was here, because the entire stock which was here is being deleted from my uh, shop. So this is what you are supposed to do it. Either you may insert a new record, you may update a new record, or you may delete the record altogether from the stock. So you may insert, you may update, or you may delete all the items from the stock table. Whenever you are doing it, the corresponding update has to be done in the master table, and that is what is the next trigger all about. So let me go and first let me create this master table, and then we will look at what you can sorry, the stock table, new stock table. So let's create this new stock table. Remember, whenever you purchase an item from the someone, you will make a note of a date on which this item was purchased, from where you have purchased, the vendor name, and so on and so forth. I will not take care of all of them because it doesn't make any sense with respect to this trigger. So I will keep the things simple by creating a simple new stock table, which is the stock that I'm going to purchase. And what are the things that are required to me? The essence is only this. What is this? I must know which is the product that has been purchased, and I have to use the unique number for that. That is the product ID, and the data type of it is number. Okay, and I must know what is the quantity that I have purchased. So only these things has to be taken care. So these are the only thing that has to be there. So I'm going to just select it. So unlike the last time, once I create this table, I'll select it and press Control Enter so that my NEWSTOCK table is created for the examination purpose. You will have to describe this table by saying NEWSTOCK. So I will just describe it so that this table is created. Okay, so done. Now let us write the trigger. So what is the trigger? So trigger is when the record is either inserted, updated, or deleted. You have to take care of that. So let us create a trigger. So I'm going to say create, as usual, create or replace. Why we are using the replace is if the trigger is already there. So you might have noticed that whenever I'm creating the table, sometimes you might have noticed that if the table is already existing, you get an error message saying that the item already exists. So what we are doing is we say create or replace. Create means if it is not there, create it. Replace means if it is already there, just replace it. Don't ask a question and say that it is there and that. If the item is there, just replace it. So should we do this thing for the table and other things? The answer is we are not supposed to do it because you may accidentally replace an existing table with all the data. So that is too costly. Just assume that 100 million records were there, rows were there, and you just accidentally replaced it, and you got you now the current records are zero. You can't get back the old data. So that is why whenever you are using this replace, be careful with it. You may accidentally replace a the existing trigger or existing table or existing something. So before you replace it, ensure that such a thing is not there. This you have to do it in real life. In the lab, if you do it, there is no problem because your teacher will suffer. Okay? You don't have to worry about it because if you replace accidentally, you do anything, and then if it is not working, you will call your teacher and say that it is not working. So then it is his or her headache. So, but in real life, I think always be careful with this word, that is the replace word. You must be very careful in the real life. Never, without knowing, don't simply go and replace the table or query or view or anything for that matter. You know that what you're doing and then do it. Okay? Otherwise, try to create it, and if it is there, see check whether something is there and start replacing it. Okay, with that, let's not bother about the real life story now because we are writing the exam now. So let us give a name. I'm going to give a name as a stock update because we are updating the stock. So I will give a name. Name is yours. You can give XYZ, PQR, anything. This is the name of that trigger. Why do we give the name? So that we can recognize them. And when this trigger has to be updated. So after I insert a record that is there, or after I update this record, or after I delete this record. Remember, all the three things has to be taken care. That is what they have given in the question. After insert, update, or delete. So all the three things has to be taken care on the NEWSTOCK table. So this is the table, NEWSTOCK table. So whenever I insert a record into the NEWSTOCK table or update a record or delete a record from the NEWSTOCK, and for every record that I am doing, so for each row of this one, I am supposed to do something. So I'm going to start with the begin, and I will put an every begin will have an end. Now there are two scenarios are there. Either you may be inserting or you may be deleting. So two things can happen. For example, you purchase the new item from the vendor, so you are inserting. Your vendor is giving you bonus CDs, then you are updating. All of them are plus. When you are purchasing the new item, you are adding it to the stock. If your vendor is giving you 10 extra CDs, then again you are adding them to the stock. So two things can happen. So you are adding. One way is you are updating, you are increasing the stock amount. Other one is you may delete it from the stock. That is reducing the stock. Let us take care of the increasing the stock. When you insert a new row, you are updating it. So how do I write that? So if you are inserting, if you are inserting, hope that spelling is proper. If you are inserting or if you are updating, okay, then what you are supposed to do it. So every if, let me first take care of that. Every if will have its end if. If you are inserting or if you are updating, okay, what you are supposed to do. It is inserting means you are bringing in new stock. That means you have to update the stock and add that stock. So how do I write that? So you're going to say update the master table, date the master, and set the new value of the stock is equal to old value of stock plus whatever new items that you have purchased. So whatever new quantity that you have purchased, you have to do it, and you know very well update statement should not be directly used. So update statement has to be used with the where clause. So where the product ID is equal to whichever new stock that you have purchased, its product ID, and you have to match the product ID. So if you are buying the CD, the ID is 101, and that has to be matched with the master table. So this is you are updating, that is you are inserting. What if you are some CDs are damaged, or you are sending our entire thing back because customers are complaining saying that CD is not working, and you are returning the entire stock back? That means you are deleting it. So this is my subtracting. Remember, when you are inserting, you are adding. When you are deleting, definitely you are subtracting. Okay. So if you are deleting or you are updating, remember this is negative update. What is meaning of saying negative update? If your vendor is giving you new stock, that is new series, bonus series, then you are adding them. Bonus series, 20 bonus series are given to you, you add it to the stock. But you are returning, you brought 50 items and 25 are damaged. So you are updating it now. So either you may delete or update. This is negative update. If you are returning something back, they have to be deducted from the stock. So this is negative. So here, how do I do that thing? So let me first take care of the every if will have its end if. So let me take care of that. Now I'm going to update, and I'm going to say update the master table, and I'm going to say set new stock value is equal to old stock value minus the old item that I am selling, not the new item. That these are all the old item that I am selling, and where you know very well the product ID is equal to the old item that I have returned or I am sending back. Okay, not to the new. I'm talking and I'm typing new here. So old item that I am sending. So this is the old item I am sending them back because I already purchased it, and this is the old ID. So old means the old value has to be taken, not the updated one, the previous one. Suppose if you have brought 50 items and you have sending 30 items back or 20 items back, the old one. So after, suppose let me just write and show. See, you brought 50 items here, out of which you are sending 20 items back. So what is the current value? What is the new value? New value of the stock is 30. But if you subtract 30 from the stock here, this will be 50 minus 30, which will give you a wrong error. So this which will give you a wrong value. So you have to subtract this old value. So that is what I have written here, old value for these two things. Done with it. Let me select this and let me press Control Enter. So this is compiled and I have created it. Let me press Enter here and let me show you what is there in the new stock by saying select star from new stock. Okay, done. And also I'm going to say select star from the which one, the master table. So let's show that thing. So I have not ordered a new stock. So let me just show you. It is a blank slate here. So nothing is there here. Okay, so it is nothing is there. Let me go to the master table and let me press Control Enter. And I'm going to just talk about only one item here, CD. And I have 75 CDs. Now I want to purchase 50 new stock. I want to get a new stock here. So new means this is a fresh entry into my stock table. So into my stock table, I will make a new entry. Let me do that thing. How do I do that thing? I'm going to say insert into new stock. Okay. Values. So the CDs is 101 and I am going to get a stock of 50 new series. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to select it and press Control Enter, and one row has been inserted. If I go to the select the star from new stock, you will notice that one entry has been made. So I have purchased or I have brought 50 series from my vendor. So my vendor has given me 50 series, and in my master file has to be updated. Remember, I had 75 series with me. So I'm going to select the master file and just press enter, and you notice that for 75, 50 has been added, and what you notice that this is now 125. Now, out of which, let us look at the scenario now. Out of which is 25 series were damaged. So I'm going to now update my new stock, new stock, update new stock, and I'm going to set the quantity. Remember, I'm returning the quantity, so the new quantity will be the old quantity minus 25, because I brought 50 series, out of which 25 are damaged. Okay, so let us say, okay, then I'm going to say where product ID is equal to 101. So this is the product ID of my series. So I brought 50 series. So now what I have is 125. Now I am returning 25. So what must be left with me is 100. So before I insert, let me look at my stock table. By selecting it, I'm pressing Control Enter, and my stock table has 50 items with me. Now I am returning 25 to my vendor, saying that 25 series are damaged. So I'm going to select it, Control and Enter. So my one row got updated. Let me go to the stock table now. 25 has been returned now. Press Control Enter, and you notice that now I have returned 25 from my new stock. I brought a new stock of 50. I have returned 25 stock. Now what about the master file? So I'm going to go to the master file and press Control Enter. You notice that 125 was there, and now the current stock is 100 because 25 has been returned. Now once I return 25 to my vendor, the vendor gets upset, and the vendor will say that, okay, sorry, 25 series got damaged. Don't worry, I'm going to give you 25 bonus series. So now I'm going to update my stock quantity. I got 25 new series. So what is my current new item? So 25 was returned back, and the my vendor is giving me 25 bonus series. So what is the total series I'm going to get now is 25. I sent him, and 25 he is giving me as bonus. So I'm going to write the query, which will now go for additional. Okay, so it will go for additional. So last time I subtracted 25 from my stock. This time I'm going to add 50 to my stock. Let me look at the stock here. Let me just press Control Enter here. So 101 already I have it here. Control Z, and 101 I have 25 items in my stock. I'm going to add 50 more items to this. So this is going to be become 101 to 70. That is going to become 75. Let us look at the master file here, and I'm going to press Control Enter. I have 100 series already there in my stock, and I'm going to get 50 more to my stock. So it must become 150. So let's select it and just press Control Enter, and the one row has been updated. Let's go to the stock here. Remember, we had 25 items in this stock. Control Enter, and now what we have is 75 items in this stock. In the same way, let me go to the master and then press Control Enter in my master, and what you notice is 50 items have been brought. But what I notice is these CDs given by my vendor are all cheap rated CDs, and customers are complaining me. So I'm going to call my vendor, and I'm going to say that no, I don't want your stock because a lot of complaints are there regarding the CDs. Please take back your stock. That means I am sending everything back to the vendor, so nothing will be available with me. So from new stock, where product ID is equal to 101. So that means I am sending everything back to the customer. So that is what is the meaning of saying delete it. So I will delete this entry. Let me go to the stock here. Just show you. I will delete this entry. So this 75 new entries which my vendor had given me, I am returning all the stock back to the vendor saying that I don't want your series. They are not they are not working. Customers are complaining. So just do it. So let's look at the my current stock. My current stock is 150 were there, out of which I am returning 75 to my vendor. Now let's see what is going to happen. So I'm going to select it and press Control Enter, and one row has been deleted. Let's go back to the stock. Now there is no new entry in the stock because it is an empty slate. Now I have returned the series back to the my vendor, and let's look at the master file here, and let's select Control Enter, and what you notice is all those new stocks are being returned back, and I'm back to the 75 status here. So this is what is the meaning of inserting and updating and deleting the trigger. You can also go to the some extra information. You can go to the SQL developer here, and in the SQL developer, if you look at here the connection that you have here, you can notice that there is a trigger. So you can let's look at the trigger here. You can click on this trigger, and whatever trigger you have created, that trigger will be available here. So if you look at this trigger, sold, this was the first trigger that I did it. So look at this trigger that I did, sold trigger, that is the trigger that I did it. So if I click on that, you will notice that it's going to show you the trigger that I created. In the same way, I created one more trigger, that is stock update, and if you look at here, then click on this and you can look at it. If you have done any mistake, if the trigger is not proper, or some syntax error or something is there, you will see a red dot here saying that there is something wrong. You can click on it and it's going to show you that the things are not proper. For example, if I say that new stocks, if I say like this, new stocks, and if I do that particular, let me, I will not do it here. This is a compiled version. I will go here and just make, I'm going to just say new stocks table is not there. Is it not? If I run it, because it is a run this trigger. So if I just run this trigger, you notice Control Enter, and you get some error. Okay, table does not exist because new stock table does not exist. If I just update here, I'm going to refresh this trigger now. Okay, and if you look at this one, this is not yet updated. Okay, let me go here and just to confirm everything. Let me do it here. Now, if you look at this one, you will see an error. Now, let me insert something, and I'm forcing it to run that particular trigger. So I'm going to just insert it, and I will get an error message. If you, it should have shown me, it's not able to show. Anyhow, you're going to see that if there is any problem, you're going to see it's not updating. Okay? You will see a red light, red dot here saying that that trigger has a problem. Okay, so somewhere the trigger will say that see, it is still showing you a new stock. It is not yet updated here. You'll have to disconnect it, just to disconnect it, and then say reconnect. Let me say let me commit all the changes, and let me do it one more time. Let's see whether it is showing me. You will see if it's updated. You will see a red color dot there. Where is it? It is not showing. Actually, it is not. Oh, the thing is, the reason why it is not doing it. This thing is not compiled. Okay? So you notice that it is not going to update it because that statement is not run. This thing is not run. That is why you notice that it has not updated it, because there is an error in the line. But suppose I can't get my logic to show you that there is an error. Suppose if you make an error and if it got compiled, okay, say for example, let it do this one only. What I'm going to do is I will go to my table here. I'm going to delete this new stock so that it just shows up there. Okay, so I'm going to go to my new stock here. You can this is the other way around. You can go here to new stock here, this table. I'm going to drop this table. The easiest way to drop this table is to type drop table and table name. If you don't know that, right click here and go to table and then say drop and just apply. This table is dropped now. This time it should create an error. Now this table is dropped now. If I go to the trigger now, there is the trigger gone, and the trigger should give me, the update this trigger. That trigger should give me an error here. That trigger also. I actually the trigger was there with the new stock and deleted the stock, and that trigger is also gone. What I can do is I still have this sold. I just wanted to tell you that not dragging you. I just wanted to show you that if that there is an error in the trigger itself will show you that there is an error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete there is the master table. I'm going to delete this master table itself. I'm going to say drop this master table and I'm going to apply it. Now I will come back to my trigger. I just wanted to show you that I'm going to update this thing. Okay. And you see that. That is what I wanted to show. That I spent 5 minutes. I just wanted to show you that. You see that there is an X mark saying that this trigger has a problem. So whenever there is a problem with the trigger, if you click on here, it's going to tell you that there is a problem with that trigger and this trigger will not work. What is the reason? I have a trigger called as create and replace a solid sold from the table, and I'm trying to update the master file. But what I have done is I just deleted the master table itself. So this trigger will not work. This is what is an indication of if your trigger is not working. Unlike your procedures or functions, it will not tell you that what is wrong here, but it will indicate that there is something wrong with that particular trigger. So just if your trigger is not working, just come here and just refresh the trigger path and then see whether you have a red color X mark here. If you get that red color X mark here, that means there is something wrong with the trigger. The trigger has been compiled, but there is something wrong with that particular trigger, and then take an appropriate action. This you can remember during your examination. That's all. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again in the other exercise. Thank you.